And we're live.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting for May 19th, 2022. My name is Brian Miller and I will be chairing the meeting today. Disclosure of pecuniary interest by anyone on any of the topics today. Take that as a no. Note that Chris and Carol Merrill both send their regrets. They won't be joining us today. Our first order of business today is an application for consent B822-503 Dundas Street West. The owner is Boyd Kelney, St. James by the Bay. And Andrew, take it away.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So a consent application has been submitted for the above noted property, which is zoned CH9 and is vacant. The application requests to create a 3-meter by 66-meter easement along the west property line for a Bell communication cable easement. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there anyone from for this application that wishes to comment? Is I think it was a Mr. Nightingale, is he with us or?
I see no Nightingale in attendance.
Okay, thank you. So any questions, comments, concerns about this application? It's just a basically an easement across the property, so it's not going to be a big issue, I don't think. So if there are no questions, a motion by Robert to accept, seconded by Sue Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So our next application is an application for consent B922 40 Yeoman Street. The owner is 2749275 Ontario Inc. and the agent is RFA Planning. And is Mr. Hutchinson with us? Or sorry, Andrew, you go ahead first. Getting ahead of myself.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So a consent application has been submitted for the above noted property, which is zoned RH or R8H zone and is currently vacant. The property was recently redesignated and rezoned for the development of an apartment building and townhouses. The purpose of this application is to create a new residential lot to separate the development of the apartment building with the townhouses onto individual lots so that they can have individual services. The rezoning of this property has been included as a condition of consent. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. Is someone from RF Planning here to speak to this? Is Spencer with us?
Spencer has been given the floor.
Good afternoon, Spencer.
Good afternoon, Chair Miller. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So any comments, questions regarding this?
I think Andrew's explained it well, and his recommendation report is endorsed by the applicant and the owner. So nothing for I to add at this hour. Thank you.
Any of the committee members wish to ask any questions or have any comments? Bill?
Yeah, through the chair to Spencer, if I may. So I have no problem supporting the severance and look forward to the project undertaking the project. I'm just curious on that front. Do we know when they anticipate breaking ground on that, Spencer?
Well, we have to go through a rezoning process because of the condition. So that's going to take us, 30, 60, 90 days. And then as soon as the zoning's in place and the severance is finalized, then we'll do the site plan, finalize the site plan late this year. But I mean, it's still a project they want to get off the ground ASAP.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay. Is there any other members of the public that wish to comment on Yeoman Street? If not, then a motion by Bill Sanderson, moved by Bill, seconded by Glenn, all in favor? Approved? Thank you. So our next application is an application for consent, B 1022, B 1122 Village of Avonlea subdivision. And the owner is 2663925 Ontario Inc., 225665531 Ontario Inc. And the agent is RFA Planning. And Andrew, you can explain.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So consent applications have been submitted for the above noted properties, which are primarily zoned A28 and environmental protection zone, and is currently vacant. The subject lands are undergoing concurrent applications for the future Village of Avonlea subdivision, including a draft plan of subdivision, rezoning, and an official plan amendment applications. The consent applications request to separate and consolidate the north side of the subject lands, which is highlighted in red and blue on the left image there, and to consolidate the rest of the lands highlighted in green and yellow for the future subdivision as shown on the right-hand image. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So is there anyone here from the applicant to speak to this application?
Yes, it's Ruth Ferguson Oldhouse from RFA
Yes.
Consultant. Andrew has done a good job of explaining the application, which is quite technical in nature. Essentially, the remnant lands from the Avonlea subdivision will be consolidated with a parcel that fronts onto Walbridge Loyalist Road. And there's no development plans proposed for these lands, and there's no proposed zone change required. The lands to the south are the Village of Avonlea subdivision, which was recently draft plan approved and rezoned by the City Planning Committee and Council. And those lands will be merged in title. There are two principal owners of these lands, and so this is an opportunity to consolidate those properties into one.
Okay, any question for Ruth? Glenn?
Yeah, it's just so that I'm clear as I'm looking at the map here, I understand that B is to be merged with A. At the top there, across Potter's Creek, which is, I guess, the really environmentally sensitive lands up there, is the idea for the blue area to be merged with the red area that's to be severed. It says that on one document, it just didn't say that on Andrew's map. I just wanted to be clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, and will it be the same owner or a different owner for those lands up there, or do you know what the plans are for those lands at this point, or?
There are no plans, but the owner of the benefiting lands is Mr. Greg Sutz, and so he will be taking the severed red lands and will be holding all of those properties.
Okay,
as well.
that's the only questions I had. Thanks for the clarification.
You're
Any other
welcome.
questions? Sorry, any other questions? Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to comment on this application? Take that as a no. If there's no further questions, a motion by Susan Smith, seconded by Robert. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ruth. Okay, moving on, our next order of business is the confirmation of the minutes of a regular meeting of Belleville Committee of Adjustment held on April the 21st. And our resolution is that the minutes of the Belleville Committee of Adjustment regular meeting held on April the 21st be received and adopted. And that is moved by Bill, seconded by Robert. All in favor? Thank you. Our next order of business is we have a deferred application for minor variance from our last meeting, and it's A 1022, 22 Moody Street, and the owner is Sean Moore and Sarah Miracle. Andrew, do you have any other comments on that?
Yes, I'll give you guys an update here. Thank you. So last month we had a public meeting for A 1022 for 22 Moody Street. It was a minor variance permit a coach house in the front yard and reduce the max height, as well as increase the lot coverage. So with coordination with the owner and the applicant, the height of the building has been decreased by 5 feet, from 23 feet to 18 feet. And that was the change that they settled on. So as such, the 3 items for relief include permission to be in the front yard, to increase the lot coverage to, I believe, was either 11 or 12%, and the revised height of the building down by 5 feet of 18 feet. The new structure won't be have a raised basement, and will be and still will be single story. The 18 feet will be about 1 meter over the maximum height of an accessory building that's typically required. Staff was contacted by one member of the public regarding the revised application, which has been forwarded to you for your consideration. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Is there someone here to speak to this application? Jennifer is joining us.
Yes, yeah, I'm here. I was just unmuting there. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just happy to answer any questions. I wasn't sure if I was able to speak because it's in the other business portion of the meeting, but I'm here if anyone has anything specific for me.
Anybody have any questions for Jennifer? So we basically, on this application, then we're lowering the height from 23 feet down to 18. And which is still a little over the required height, and then the lot coverage is what we're looking at. Okay. Any other questions? Is anybody from the public wish to speak to this application? Was there anybody on? Andrew?
Through to the chair, we're not in public meeting.
Okay.
This is under business.
Okay.
So
Sorry. All right. So if there's not any further comments or questions, do we have a motion? Glenn, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I'll move to approve.
Okay, moved by and seconded by Bill, and all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, so is there any other correspondence, Greg or Andrew, that we need to deal with?
Greg, I don't know if this is a good time to talk about it, but we do have like the urban design guidelines and development manual in the works. I'd be willing to share that with the committee members if they would like to see some of that. Perhaps just the presentation though, because those documents are a bit lengthy.
That was my question. How big a document is this?
One of them is maybe 70 and the other's like 500. So but if you'd like
reading.
But if you'd like to see a presentation brought up for one of the stakeholders, I'd be willing to share that with the committee members if that piques any of your interests.
Just a thought, maybe at one of our meetings in the future that we could start our meeting early before the public, and if you just gave us an overview of that, would that be something that would work?
I have the application. I have the presentation kind of ready for the most part. If you'd like, we can just continue.
How long is?
I actually haven't timed my presentation.
Did you want to do it at our next meeting, like start 15 minutes early, and would that give you enough time to do it? And so you can.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Is that something that we would all agree with? That we start like our meeting at 3:15 and Andrew does the presentation before we go into our public meeting? Okay, that sounds like a plan. Okay, if we plan that for our next meeting, then we start at maybe 3:15 or 3 o'clock, whatever time that you're going to need, and then we will move forward from there. I have a question for Sue while we're here. We need to sign some documents that have been sitting around. So do you have any plans when we can do that?
I can certainly send out an email and have everybody come in and sign whenever it's convenient for you.
Yeah, because I think we have about 6 months worth to do. Is that correct?
We have a few, yes.
Okay, so maybe if you send us out, and then we can also set up a time and get those looked after before summer is upon us. Okay, is there anything else that anybody wishes to speak on, comment? If not, then our next meeting is June 16th at 3 or 3:15, whatever the case may be, and we will notify of that. If there's no further items to discuss, that Robert?
What if there's a property standards meeting? They're typically at 3 o'clock, right?
Oh, well, I would say we would have to maybe do it before that or something. We'll work that out, I'm sure, between Sue and Andrew. We'll sort that out.
Okay.
Okay, if there's nothing further, then an adjournment moved by Robert, second by Sue Smith. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody enjoy their long weekend, and we will see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
May the fourth be with you.
Yeah.